Stop waiting for things to happen to you. You're not going to live for 1,000 years. Whenever you are waiting for things to go your way, you're waiting for opportunities to come. That's what you are actually saying to the world. I believe I'm going to be immortal. But that is not true. Understand that if you don't have a urgency to all of your actions and you do not put things forward, you do not move them forward, things are not going to change. They're actually going to degrade. Over time, something that doesn't get maintenance, doesn't get action, real action to make it better, it degrades no matter what it is. So understand that if you want things to go your way, to have more success, more money, more happiness, more fulfillment, engage with the world, take actions. And I'm not talking about small actions. I'm not talking about baby steps. No. You should take massive amounts of actions. Stir the biggest pot that you can find, and you will end up with better results. You will learn so much about the world. The world will seem more interesting and less boring. If you have a problem with boredom and you just watch copious amounts of social media, that's because you are not doing enough. If you were doing enough things, if you were to care more about the things that you are doing, to care more about your success, to act as if your days will be short, your life will be 75 to 80 years. Understand that those years fly away faster and faster the older you get. So really, no matter what age you are, put some urgency to everything that you are doing. Understand that massive amounts of actions lead to more results and to more life, more quantity of life, and also quality. Because in due time, you will understand how to do massive actions towards positive outcomes, towards things that feel meaningful. But you have to first start with massive actions and take the brunt of the failures. Understand that the failures are not really bad, because when a machine fails, that's a problem. But when a human fails, it can solve that problem in the future, and it will probably never fail again in that way. Or even if it fails a few times more, it will learn how to patch and update that specific problem. You have to understand that if you believe that you are a machine and every time you fail, that means that you will fail over and over and more again. No, the point is that you can learn from both failures and successes. You are not really a machine. Do not avoid failure like it's the plague. And do not do small steps. Don't do baby steps. Massive amounts of action. Sure, they might increase failure rates in the short term, but understand that you will learn so much more if you take massive amounts of action. If you have an urgency about your life, if you really put things forward, you move them, you do not wait there with your stick in your hand, waiting for some fish to catch some bait. No, you start doing things. You start moving things around. You don't like things that involve waiting. You try to make them as fast as possible. You try to have an impact. You try to control things. You try to make them your way. Just you turn the odds around. The only way to turn the odds around your situation is to take massive amounts of action. It feels hard to do small actions, baby steps. But understand that it is easier to actually do massive amounts of actions. It's easier than to take baby steps because you will see the effect. We are super enticed by the effects of our actions. Most people delude themselves. They are in Delulu land by thinking that, oh, if I do small steps, if I do baby steps, that I'm gonna slowly go to higher and higher steps. No, you're not gonna do that. Start with big, huge, bodacious, courageous steps And understand that if you do that, the effect is going to be big. We really like big effects. We see the world and we go like, oh, if I do this, that is going to happen. We are really enticed by that. We are really enticed by all of these things. And people don't understand that when you have a bigger effect, it's easier to convince yourself to take more and more and more actions, to addict yourself to taking massive amounts of action. But you see, if you do small baby steps, you're going to have small baby returns, small baby effects. You're not going to have this huge spur of change in your life. You're not going to have this turnaround life. You're not going to all of the sudden be extremely happy. You're not going to be all of the sudden successful. But you see, if you take massive amounts of actions, you will be. You will change the meaning of your life. You will turn your life around. People around you will be like, what has changed? You seem so different. 3 months ago, when I saw you last time, you were different. You weren't as happy. You weren't as successful. What happened? What changed? They're going to ask you all of these questions. You're going to see, and you don't even have to tell them. They're going to see all of the change. They're going to see that you have been doing better and better and better, and you are on the up and up. And understand that that only comes not by doing baby steps, but by taking massive, copious amounts of action. You cannot really comprehend what massive amounts of action is. You cannot really understand it. Like, you have no idea what you are capable of. You have no idea, because all of your life you have been waiting for things to happen to you, as opposed to making things happen to you, as opposed to forcing the world to give you results, as opposed to imposing your will on the world, effecting change, having big ripples. Understand that that's what it takes to actually do things. Understand that that's what it takes to be happy, to be fulfilled, to be successful, to have money, to have everything that you've ever wanted. All that matters is the effect that you can have onto the world. You are paid by the risk that you take, not the effort. But when you take massive amounts of action, you signal to the world that you are willing to take more risk on, more responsibility. And most people just run away from responsibility. They want all of the results with none of the work, all of the results with none of the responsibility, all of the results with none of the risk. Embrace all three of those: risk, effort, and, of course, responsibility. Embrace those things and understand that you have to become a different person. You truly have to become from a person who doesn't take action, from a person who doesn't really do that much with their life and they're waiting for life to happen to them, to the kind of person who actually engages, cares about the world, cares about themselves, and takes massive, copious amounts of actions. It is so much easier to take massive amounts of actions. People don't understand that because they have bigger effects, you will get yourself addicted. You will get yourself feeling great about those actions because you're going to see results so much sooner than everybody else who's dipping their toes into certain things. No, go until here, until you can only breathe through your nose. Learn how to swim. After you learn how to swim, learn how to pilot a boat. Understand that just telling people that the water is cold and you've tried to dip your toes in doesn't make a difference. That's what you are doing. Whenever you say, oh, I've tried this, oh, I've tried that, it doesn't work. What's the point of even trying? What you're doing is dipping your toes into water and saying to people, oh, the water is too cold for me. The water is too cold for me. Spend some time in the cold water and understand that you get used to it. You don't have to sit there for long. You're going to be able to buy yourself a raft, a boat, whatever it is. You're going to buy yourself a vehicle to actually take more actions. That's what it means to take massive amounts of actions. You change the vehicle you are in. You're not really looking at how you feel. You're not looking at what you think. You're only concerned with what you can do. What is the biggest pot that you can stir? But most people do not think about that. Most people do not act that way. Most people live here and here, as opposed to doing, as opposed to having the biggest effect on the world. It is those who have the biggest effect on the world that are the luckiest. And they only are the luckiest because they have the biggest effect on the world, because they've taken massive, copious amounts of actions. But you are waiting for things to happen to you. You are waiting for someone who takes massive amounts of actions to get into your life and change it around. That's what you are waiting. You are waiting for someone to save you. You have yourself. You can save yourself. You can become that person. You can be the kind of person who actually saves you. You can be the kind of person who actually changes your life, turns your life around, gives yourself opportunities, as opposed to waiting for someone to change your life. Everybody else is waiting. Everybody else, that's the norm. 99% of people, they're just waiting around for things to happen, as opposed to doing stuff, as opposed to doing copious, massive amounts of actions.